Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Balachari Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Balachari Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devi Saraswati Vyasam
Tato Jayam Udirayet
Todayam Udiraya
Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu
Nastapayesha Vadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavat Yuttama Shloke
Bhagavat Yuttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki
Bhakti Bhavati Nashiki
Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Canto 2, Chapter 1, the first step in God realization, and we are on text 37. Ramananam Chatra Bhujo Mahatma
Ramananam Shatra Bhujo Mahatma
Vid Urur Angri Shrita Krishna Varna
Vidur Angri Shita Krishna Varna
Nana Binanda Jaya Gano Papanno
Nabhida Bhavijya Ganopamamyo
Dravyatmaka Karma Vitana Yoga
Karma Vitana Yoga
Brahmananam Chatra Bhujo Mahatma
Ramananam Shatra Bhujo Mahatma
Vidurur Angri Shrita Krishna Varna
Vidur Angri Shita Krishna Varna
Nana Bidaya Vijaya Ganopapanno
Nabhida Bhavijya Ganopamamyo
Dravyatmaka Karma Vitana Yoga
Yagyatmaka Karma Vitana Yoga Brahmanam Shatrabhujo Mahatma
Brahmananam Chatra Bhujo Mahatma
Vidur Angri Shrita Krishna Varna
Vidurur Angri Shrita Krishna Varna
Nana Vidhavi Jaganopapano
Nanavida Vijaganopapano
Karma Vitana Yoga
Dravyatmaka Karma Vitana Yoga
Shatrabhujo Mahatma
Brahmananam Chatra Bhujo Mahatma
Shita Krishna Varna
Vidurur Angri Shrita Krishna Varna
Navida Vidjaganopapano
Nanavida Vijaganopapano
Yoga
Ramananam Shatrapuja Mahatma
Udalam Shatrabujo Mahatma
Vidurangre Shita Krishna Varna
Vidurangri Shrita Krishna Vardhana
Nana Vidavi Jaganopapano
Nanavida Bhijaganopapano
Dravyatmaka Karma Vitana Yoga
Vyakata Karma Vitani
Brahma, the Brahmanas, Ananam,
Anam
the face,
Face
Chatra,
Yatra
the Kshatriyas,
Kshatriyas
Bhuja,
Puja
the arms, Mahatma, the Virat Purusha,
the Virat Purusha
Vit, the Vaishyas,
Vaishyas
Uru,
Uru
the thighs,
Thighs
Angrishrita,
Vishrita
under the protection of his feet,
under the protection of his feet
Krishna Varna,
Krishna
the
Varna
Shudras,
Shudra
Nana, various,
Serious
Abhida,
Vida
by names,
Names
Abhijagana, the
Bijagana
demigods,
Demigods
Upapanna,
Upavana
being overtaken,
being overtaken
Dravya Atmaka,
Dravya
feasible goods,
feasible goods
Karma,
Karma
activities,
activities
Yatana Yoga,
Yoga
performances of sacrifice.
performances of sacrifice.
Excuse me. Continuation of the description of the universal form of the Lord as a process of meditation. The Virat Purusha's face is the Brahmanas. His arms are the Kshatriyas, his thighs are the Vaishyas, and the Shudras are under the protection of his feet. All the worshipable demigods are also overtaken by him, and it is the duty of everyone to perform sacrifices with feasible goods to appease the Lord. Purport. Monotheism is practically suggested here. Offering sacrifices to many demigods under different names is mentioned in the Vedic literatures, but the suggestion made in this verse is that all those varieties of demigods are included in the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are only the parts and parcels of the original whole. Similarly, the divisions of the orders of human society, namely the Brahmanas, the intelligent class, the Kshatriyas, the administrators, the Vaishyas, the mercantile community, and the Shudras, the laborer class, are all included in the body of the Supreme. As such, sacrifice by every one of them in terms of pleasing the Supreme by feasible goods is recommended. Generally, the sacrifice is offered with clarified butter and grains. But with the progress of time, human society has produced varieties of goods by transforming materials supplied by God's material nature. Human society, therefore, must learn to offer sacrifices not only with clarified butter, but also with other manufactured goods in the propagation of the Lord's glory. That will bring about perfection in human society. The intelligent class of men, or Brahmanas, may give direction for such sacrifices in consultation with the previous acharyas. The administrators may give all facilities to perform such sacrifices. The Vaishya class or mercantile community who produce such goods may offer them for sacrifice, and the Shudra class may offer their manual labor for the successful termination of such sacrifice. Thus, by the cooperation of all classes of human beings, the sacrifice recommended in this age, namely the sacrifice of congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord, may be executed for the common welfare of all the people of the world. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim. Yatkripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Vanchakalpa tarupyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is a description of real human society. It's understood. Human society that one should abide by the codes of Dharma. But no one has any sense of that anymore. Less and less sense of that as time goes on, as Kali Yuga progresses. Everything is just as you like. What was the wonderful saying that came out of the 60s? The enlightened age, the 60s, where people realized, oh, all these, if it feels good, do it. This was their conclusion. This was their enlightenment. And it kind of sounds good on a bumper sticker, you know? On a bumper sticker, that's a good idea. No, it's the worst idea possible. If it feels good, do it. That's the antithesis of human civilization.
If it feels good, don't do it.
In most cases, yes. Yeah, there's no sense of higher purpose of life. It's just, everyone is just running around following the dictates of the mind and senses. And that's how people are being trained, educated, trained. This is it. You know, whatever your mind and senses are proposing, as long as it's not too extreme and you're not causing some pain to another human being, yes, you know, then it's in balance. Go for it. There's no universal law. There's no karmic reaction. Who is anyone to say that I should be restricted in my activities? But this type of approach to life leads to suffering. Plain and simple, it leads to suffering. Because reality is arranged in such a way by Krishna. Krishna has arranged it, and it's a perfect arrangement of reality. That yagyartat karma non yatra loko yam karma bandhana. Tadartam karma konteya mukta sangha samachara. That if anyone does any activity which is not for the pleasure of Vishnu, then that activity will cause bondage. This is from the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It's a formula. It's a statement of reality that if you do anything which is not done for the pleasure of Vishnu, it will cause bondage. It will not lead to happiness in the ultimate issue. So here, Prabhupada is describing, the description is there of the universal form, how the Brahmanas are the face of the Lord, and the Kshatriyas are the arms of the Lord, and then the Vaishyas are the thighs of the Lord. Sometimes the Vaishyas are described as the belly, I believe, also of the Lord. And then the Shudras are like the legs of the Lord, or in this case, are under the protection of the feet of the Lord. And all of these different sections of human society are meant to work in such a way that they are utilizing their skills, their nature for the service of the Lord. And Prabhupada is explaining that the goods that are produced in human society should also be utilized for the pleasure of the Lord. So previously, the natural products were collected and they were offered in sacrifice, just like in an Ashvamedha is the horse sacrifice, isn't it? Ashvamedha sacrifice. Then all of this wealth would be collected. Tons and tons of gold would be collected, along with so many other items, and they would be offered during that sacrifice. Tremendous amount of gold, tremendous amount of wealth would be offered, along with along with a lot of ghee, and then the chanting of the mantras by the qualified brahmanas. And that was a sacrifice that would have been performed in previous ages. That was a suitable way to satisfy the Lord. But that process is not so relevant nowadays. No, not so relevant. It's irrelevant nowadays. Practically no one can collect the amount of wealth that's required. And even if you could collect the amount of wealth that's required, where are the qualified brahmanas who can perfectly utter the mantras? Because if there's any discrepancy in the uttering of the mantras, then you won't get the fruit. You won't get the fruit. Just like, who was it that was uttering the mantras and they were supposed to make someone who was going to be able to...
Enemy of Indra?
Enemy of Indra, was it?
Oh,
Anyway, the thing reversed. It produced exactly the opposite result. Why? Because the mantra was just pronounced improperly. The hymns were just pronounced and recited improperly, and therefore it created the opposite effect. And that's the nature of, especially of materialistic sacrifices. When someone is engaged in that karma kanda type of activity, which is meant for some material gain, meant for some selfish prosperity, then any discrepancy can lead to the opposite result. Just like King Mriga. He was doing tons and tons of charity, performing so many auspicious activities that he was going to produce such a great material reaction for himself. He was giving all sorts of charity. And then one time he gave some cows to some Brahmin. And one of the cows wandered over to the other Brahmin's herd, and somehow those two Brahmins argued, and he got the reaction. Why? There was some discrepancy. It wasn't even his fault, but because it's a materially motivated activity, then any little discrepancy would lead to a bad reaction. Of course, finally the reaction he got was good. He had to take birth as a lizard for a really long time, but finally he got liberated by Krishna. So the end result was nice, that he got that benediction.
Foot liberation.
What did he get?
Foot liberation.
Foot liberation.
Krishna touched his foot.
Oh, Krishna touched the lizard with his foot, and then he achieved his successful form as a servant of the Lord. So this is human civilization, is that the different parts of the body, which is the social body, the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, are working harmoniously for the purpose of offering sacrifice. And now Prabhupada is explaining that as human society so-called progresses, as it produces this different types of technologies and different, the human intelligence is being utilized, and it's producing all sorts of things which were unimaginable previously. Just like when we were growing up, it had been fantasy, the idea of picking up a little piece of, plastic and metal and wires and, pressing some buttons and being able to speak to someone on the other side of the planet. What to speak of seeing them and speaking to them. It was unimaginable. If you told someone that, yeah, I saw that movie. It was an interesting sci-fi movie, but no one ever imagined that you could actually do that. And even, in the 1970s, if you went to India, maybe also in the 80s, and you wanted to make a phone call the States, it could take days to call the States. You'd have to go to a particular shop, and then it was a whole elaborate process, and then maybe you could get the connection to make that long distance call. So technology has progressed at such a rapid rate. And so Prabhupada is saying that all of this technology, all of these things which are produced by human society must be utilized, specifically for the propagation of the Lord's glories. If someone is living in some farm somewhere and preaching is not part of the process, in other words, our service is just to live on a farm, grow food, and, anyone who wants to come to the farm, welcome. The preacher sent people to the farm, but we have, no need of the technology, then we live very simply. You don't need to utilize technology so much. But for the purpose of propagating the glories of the Lord, Certainly, all the technology that's being produced must be utilized. And it's definitely a razor's edge. It's definitely like a sharp razor. A little bit of inattention with the technology, or the technology in the hands of someone who's not qualified, will produce havoc. Yes, havoc. It will cause degradation. It will completely distract the mind. Shrotavyadini Rajendra Ninam Santi Sahasrata Apashyatam Atmatattvam Griheshu Grihamedinam. This was said 5,000 years ago. There are many, many topics for discussion in human society. You know, if you went into the village and you went to by the well where people are drawing water, you would see people just chattering away, talking about this thing and that thing, and then gossiping. Oh, did you hear what happened in the next village? So that was the extent of it. And there's just so many topics for discussion in human society. That's nothing. That's nothing compared to the amount of topics for discussion nowadays. Nowadays, the information age, all of the information is circulating in human society. Everyone is being bombarded at every moment by things which are interesting, humorous, cute, degrading, the full range, you know, can fully immerse the mind in things which have no value, things which are just stimulating to the mind. Oh, that was very interesting. That was very humorous. That was very, informative. That was, oh, I learned so much. No, it's simply, by and large, unless it's very carefully, uh, you know, directed, unless one is very careful in how they're, applying these technologies and all of this information, by and large, it's just a distraction from Krishna. Those who are expert, they're able to extract the things which can be utilized in the Lord's service. Oh, here's some good hints about managerial topics. Oh, here's some good hints about how to propagate Krishna consciousness through social media, and they're able to extract that. They're able to catch, sorry to use the analogy, catch the fish without getting wet. But that's rare. Even here it's being described that the Brahmanas, they were directing the yajnas, isn't it? But did they just direct the yajnas just like that, based on their own understanding, based on their own intelligence? What did it say in the purport? It said they were directing the yajnas based on the direction of the previous acharyas. They had that level of that sense that, we don't, we're not so clear ourselves. What do the previous acharyas say should and should not be done? Because without that direction of the previous acharyas, then one will concoct something. One will just invent something. Just like the tendency of human beings is to, religious human beings, people come into a religious process, and at the heart of any genuine, bona fide religious process is the aspiration to understand the absolute truth. We got to figure out what the absolute truth is. We have to connect with the absolute truth. We have to realize the absolute truth. We have to awaken love of God. But as time goes on, rituals tend to become very prominent, and then they start getting blended in with the process with the essential processes for self-realization. And then the rituals often are very attractive to the minds of certain people. You've got all the external aspects of the ritual, the priests dressed in very elaborate ways with huge ghee lamps, waving them all in unison, and the priests are there with their Harinam chatters and perhaps some fancy turban on their head, and they're uttering all of these incantations, and it's very attractive to certain people. And then someone takes, this is the real thing, not these four devotees sitting on the side chanting Hare Krishna with mridanga and kartals. That's okay, that's nice, but this looks like something very significant and powerful, because the fire is burning and the Brahmin is offering the ghee into the sacrifice, and you've got all these Brahmins lined up chanting that nasal chanting of the mantras. This looks like something significant. Yes? And then that thing can become very prominent, and the essential thing can be forgotten. Therefore, you need the acharya. The acharya has to say, don't get sidetracked. Don't get lost in the rituals. What is it? Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha Janasangas chalolyam cha sadbir bhakti vinashyati. There's 6 types of activities which can cause damage to the path of bhakti. One of them is to accept certain processes superficially. That's one thing. Or it can also accept, amplify, magnify a process which is not so recommended. Just like when Prabhupada opened the Krishna Balaram Mandir, it was as far as I recall, it was a many-day event. It wasn't just a one-day event, several-day event, and Prabhupada invited all sorts of local Brahmins. They all were invited, and they were all doing their yagyas and their offerings and their rituals. And Prabhupada, this was not the real installation of Krishna Balaram, not the real opening of the Krishna Balaram Mandir. The real offering, the real process which was he considered to be significant was the chanting of the holy names by the devotees. But this was done just so that ritualistic people thought, and this is a legitimate opening of a temple, legitimate installation of the deity. Otherwise, the people, the local people, might not accept it as legitimate. Oh, these Westerners have opened up something, but they didn't do it in the correct, with the proper Vedic sequences and the proper Vedic processes. But the Acharya set the record straight so as not to allow his followers to be misled. One time a devotee was asking Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, in terms of this ritual, what should I, in terms of this yajna, what's the process? And Prabhupada, shortcut. This was Prabhupada doing shortcut like that, because it's not the process for the age of Kali. The process for the age of Kali is very, very elaborately described, confirmed by the greatest authorities. Simply chant the holy names of the Lord, especially in congregation, and inspire others to chant. And towards this end, all of the efforts of human society should be directed. Yes, the Brahmins conceive of how to spread Krishna consciousness based on the instructions of the Acharya. So we need to expand Krishna consciousness. And then you've got the Kshatriyas who facilitate. They facilitate. They don't block the glorification of the holy name. Just like me and Vijay Prabhu went to Fisherman's Wharf the other day to distribute books. And on the way, we were, in our minds, we were, thinking, okay, what's our strategy? We're going to be confronted by the authorities. What are we going to say? What are we not going to say? What's our, how are we going to combat the authorities who are supposed to be doing what? They're supposed to be facilitating. We're the only ones out there, not to be proud, but we're the only ones out there who are actually offering people something of value. Everyone else is offering them some nonsense, just nonsense. Some entertainment or some meat or some alcohol or some whimsical distraction. Nothing good for the soul. And then there's 2 people out there who are offering them spiritual wisdom, a solution to life's problems, and they're the only 2 people who are being blocked. Everyone else, yes, free reign, welcome. Here's your license. Most welcome to offer your poison and your garbage and your distraction to the souls of this world. So the Kshatriyas are supposed to facilitate. They're supposed to facilitate, not block. And then the Vaishyas, they're supposed to utilize their wealth and their productive capabilities for supplying all the goods. Oh, the Brahman says this is what needs to be done. A temple needs to be built for the glorification of the Lord and for awakening love of God in human society. And then the Vaishyas come forward and they say, yes, they're engaged. Their wealth is engaged. And in this way, their wealth is engaged for the highest purpose. And then the Shudras, they assist also. They're very important to make sure that everything is, all of the manual aspects of what needs to be done are accomplished. So in this way, the human society is working as a cohesive unit for the common purpose of glorifying Krishna, and then everything is given based on that. All the purposes served by a well is automatically served by a large reservoir of water, right? So if you think about karma kanda, what are people trying to achieve with karma kanda? People are trying to achieve some wealth. They're trying to achieve some happiness. They're trying to achieve some prosperity. They're trying to achieve some higher standard of life. What are people trying to achieve through jnana kanda? Liberation from suffering. Yes, oh, this material world is so painful, it's so troublesome. I want to achieve liberation from it all. But if someone just comes to the point of bhakti, is it that, oh, now you've come to the point of bhakti and therefore you'll be deprived of all, the things which other people are getting? Is that what happens when someone comes in the path of bhakti? That you're deprived of everything else? No, not at all. Everything is given. Automatically, liberation is there. Automatically. So much so that Bilva Mangal Thakur says, what liberation? Liberation is coming with folded hands, ready to serve those who are situated on the path of pure bhakti. She's, please accept me. And the devotee says, not interested. Liberation, not liberation. I'm a servant of the Lord. I'm content simply in that act of remembering Krishna, chanting Krishna's glories, and executing Krishna's mission, because the soul is totally satisfied. What is that verse from the Bhagavatam? How this process, by rendering devotional service, the supreme occupation for all humanity. Does anyone know the verse? Savai Pumsam? Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adhokchaje Ahaituki Apratihata Yayatmasu Prasidati. Everyone is looking for full satisfaction. No one is thinking, I want partial satisfaction. Everyone is looking for full satisfaction. So the Bhagavatam doesn't mince words. The Bhagavatam dharma projata kaitavo traparamo nirmatsaranam satam. The Bhagavatam kicks out all cheating dharmas. Why cheating? Who's being cheated? The person who's accepting those lower dharmas is finally being cheated. Yes? I'm a karma kandi. I'm a jnana kandi. You're being cheated. You're being cheated. You're being promised, some success, but you'll end up without success. Shine punya martya lokam vishanti. You work like anything. You endeavor so hard. You go to the heavenly planets, you fall down. You engage in the very dry, painful, austere, artificial practice of jnana, of impersonal practice. It's not at all natural for the soul. But the person, I have to achieve liberation. I have to distinguish matter from spirit. I have to become liberated. So much endeavor, so much trouble one accepts. And what's the result? Aruya kritrena param padam tata. Patanti adonadrita yushmad angraya. Imagine, after all that work, all that endeavor, you finally achieve liberation. You can't stay there. You can't stay there because it's artificial. So that's why it's called cheating dharmas. It's cheating. Who's being cheated? The person who's engaging in those dharmas, in those paths, is being cheated finally. Because what they're looking for is the full satisfaction of the self. And the only thing that fully satisfies the self is unmotivated and uninterrupted devotional service to the Lord. This is Krishna's arrangement. And is it a good arrangement? Is it a good? Well, analyze it. Krishna has arranged reality in such a way that the person who simply exists on the platform of pure love experiences the highest happiness. It's a reasonable arrangement, isn't it? And anything else besides that, bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami, sakale, ashanta. Krishna bhakta nishkam, ata eva shanta. Yes? Bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami. The one who's trying for bhukti, material enjoyment. The one who's trying for mukti, liberation. The one who wants, siddhis, mystic powers. None of them are peaceful. They all have some desire in the mind. Some desire in the mind. They're not ashanta. None of them are peaceful. And then the one who wants no happiness. The person who doesn't care about their own happiness. Ashanta. They are shanta. Totally peaceful. And more than that, they're totally satisfied. So it's not that one will be deprived. It's not that one will end up empty-handed. This is the concern. Oh, but if you just serve Krishna, what will become of you? What will become of you? How will you take care of your necessities of life? Prabhupada was describing, he said it so many times, Krishna's the maintainer of all living entities. He's the maintainer of the elephant, and he's the maintainer of the ant. He's provided. Do you think if you become Krishna's servant, he won't maintain you? And then Prabhupada said something very strong. He said, do you think Krishna is ungrateful? So powerful. Do you think Krishna is ungrateful? No, the opposite. Krishna is the most grateful, so appreciative. Even for some small offering, Krishna appreciates any small offering offered with some devotion. Krishna magnifies it. Oh, such an offering this person has made. Did you see what this person offered? Magnifies it. Not that if you make some mistake, you end up as a lizard. Not that if you make some mistake, you create a demon that wants to kill you instead of, no. A small offering, Krishna magnifies it. He appreciates it. So, a person who engages in the practice of bhakti, which means unmotivated, no motivation, cultivating that mood. I simply want to serve spiritual master and Krishna for their pleasure, like that. And gradually we become blessed more and more with an awakening of that, the natural consciousness of the soul. Right now it feels artificial, at least to me it does, because I have so many lackings, I have so many, challenges and pains and deficiencies, right? So I'm approaching bhakti. I got to get up in the morning. Why? Because I have to see Krishna? No, because if I don't get up in the morning and chant my rounds and go see the Lord and do all of these things, which I have some little taste for, but if I don't do these things, I'll be miserable. My life will become miserable. So there's self-motivation, which is okay at this stage. At my stage, it's okay. But eventually, this motivation will be kicked out, just like Dhruva Maharaj. He came with full motivation. I want the topmost kingdom. Yes, the topmost kingdom. I want it from Vishnu. Then he saw Vishnu and he went pink with embarrassment. What was I thinking? What was I asking for? Here I am in front of Vishnu. He couldn't even speak. He was in such ecstasy, such appreciation of seeing Vishnu. What was I thinking? What was I wanting? I don't want anything, my Lord. I just want you. Just want you. So that day will come when we'll be blessed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranitai, Srimati Radharani, with the feeling of bhakti, real bhakti, the desire just to please the Lord, which is the natural, healthy state of the soul, and everything is granted to such a person. Everything. It's not that, okay, now you've achieved success in bhakti and, no, you go to the spiritual world. You go to the Goloka Vrindavan, the highest realm, the highest realm. At the end of the Rath Yatra, they reach Gundicha, yes, Gundicha. And then the goddess of fortune, she was a little bit upset with her husband. He said he was going to go out for a car ride, yes, but where is he? We found out he's gone to Vrindavan. I said, what is this? How has he gone to Vrindavan and left me here alone? She becomes upset. She collects her maidservant, and all the maidservants are super opulently dressed. And then they come in great opulent procession to the Gundicha Mandir. And why has the Lord left all the opulence of Dwarka in order to go to Vrindavan? What's in Vrindavan? And the maidservants of the goddess of fortune, they arrest the servants of Lord Jagannath and they begin beating the sticks, with sticks, the Jagannath cart. And they say, why does your master act like this? Why has he left all the opulence of the goddess of fortune and of Vaikuntha to go to Vrindavan? What's in Vrindavan? What is the opulence of Vrindavan? So Srivas Thakur, he'd been gripped by the mood of Narada Muni, who's a great Vaikunthavasi. He's a great appreciator of the majesty and the opulence of the Lord. And so he was expressing the great opulence of Vaikuntha. And then Swarup Damodar, he helped him to understand. He explained that if you take all the opulence of Vaikuntha, it's like a drop compared to the opulence of Vrindavan. But the opulence of Vrindavan is covered by sweetness. So this process of pure bhakti, which is given by Srila Prabhupada, simple process, doesn't require any elaborate rituals, doesn't require any big elaborate yagyas with fires and all of this kind of stuff, elaborate chanting of Vedic mantras, which no one can do properly anyway. It's a very simple process. Chant the holy names of the Lord, dance, take prasadam, and do some good for the world. Help others like that. What is the result? The result is that Krishna becomes very pleased and one goes to Goloka Vrindavan. And all of one's desires are not fulfilled. They're so much more than fulfilled. All the desires of the soul are completely satisfied. One lives with Krishna in the most opulent abode and lives on the platform of pure love. That is perfection of life. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We have 0 minutes. So thank you all very much. We end at 8 o'clock, isn't it? Does anyone have any questions from our viewers online or Mark?
I have 2 quick ones.
Yes.
One is in regards to the elaborate sacrifice and brahmanas and incantations. Even in our own Santa Cruz, we have some people that have some awareness of demigod worship. And on our group, we have some for those that just come to our center. One person you met her, Summer, she posted one, Mahashivaratri in Costa Rica. And I was thinking, should I just shut this down and let them kind of see what happens? The idea is that why do you have to go to Costa Rica and spend all so much money and whatever worship they're doing, whether it's authorized or not? And you instead go to Santa Cruz, 10 minutes from your home, and just chant Hare Krishna twice a week. But they're not doing that. They want to go here and there, and then invite them to the Bhakti Farms. I don't know, I'll go to a vegan festival instead. Worshipping Lord Shiva, worshipping being a vegan is not going to get you back to God. I was just thinking about that when you said that. And then in regard to and just doing whatever not under authority, right? The Brahmanas were directed in the previous acharyas. The lecture yesterday at Stanford was AI versus consciousness, and I highlighted the gentleman, Lakshmi Har Behera, it's also known as Leela Purushottam, director at IIT Mandi, professor at IIT Kanpur, India. And long story short, there was a lot of equations, and most people were completely confused about what was going on. But he summed it up and said LLM, large language models, AI, they cannot produce experiences, they can only give simulations of that which is already experienced. And therefore, he concluded everything after an hour and a half, basically said, I encourage everyone to find out who you are and what you're here for. Otherwise, the whole world will be in destruction. Basically, that's what he concluded with. Anyways, under authority, he understood AI can take us a certain direction, but if it's not guided and not extracting the essence, as you were saying earlier, then what is the use for it? So many topics are there. I appreciate these 2 points in regards to what you've shared.
As far as, where people are at and their attraction to different aspects of, even the Vedic culture or the Vedic processes, we have to be thoughtful in terms of, seeing that people are where they're at, and we just want to nudge them forward, right? We don't want to exclude anyone from the process of bhakti. But that's fine. You're attracted to this deity or that deity, no problem. Please also chant Hare Krishna, and please take Krishna prasadam, and Krishna will work his magic. Krishna is the supreme attractive, and the devotees have to have a accommodating spirit. It doesn't mean we accommodate nonsense. And certainly in our centers, we are strictly following Prabhupada's standards. But some inclusivity is very important, to meet people where they're at and invite them to come into this beautiful process of Krishna consciousness, and they should feel welcome to be part of our our sanghas and our communities without judgment, and this will inspire them. Because there's nothing more attractive. There's nothing more attractive than there's no one more attractive than Krishna, and when Krishna's devotees are aligned with Krishna's mood, compassionate mood, there's no community which is more attractive than that.
Makes sense, but it's helpful. However, I have a question deeper than that. What if someone is trying to push forward a certain Upa Dharma, and they're inviting others from the center to do so?
Oh, from your center.
Yeah. That's what I really meant to say.
Oh, okay.
Because what she did is she said, "Oh, you should come and join me in Costa Rica next time," and so forth, to do these things. So what's your suggestion in this regard?
Depending on the circumstances, depending on the person, one can deal with it in a sensitive way. Because sometimes people do come and they want to invite people to their own projects or their own festivals or their own whatever practices. And I don't think it's out of line. Would you do that? Would you go to someone else's center or temple and say, "Well, we're done over here. We've got this Hare Krishna temple. We'd like to invite you." It's not such good etiquette. So it might be done innocently, or it might be done not innocently. I don't know the circumstances, but certainly it's not out of line that in private you can call the person over when there's no sort of audience and there's no possibility of any sort of tension. And he said, please, and in Bengal, whenever you're going to say something that's potentially offensive to someone, you're afraid they might get offended. You know how you start the conversation? You say, "Please don't mind." Please don't mind. And then you tell them that, we're doing our bhakti practice here. We're inviting people for the bhakti sort of lifestyle. And I would appreciate it if you wouldn't invite people to other programs, at least while you're here. You're most welcome to come, but please avoid doing that. And anyone who's sensible will say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I didn't know I was supposed to do that. Please excuse me." So a lot of times it's innocent. So either way, whether it's innocent or not innocent, you've given them a very nice, respectful indication that it's not welcome. And then if they still do it, well, that's just overstepping. That's overstepping.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.